How's it going, everybody? And welcome to this week's episode of Theory Thursday, my segment where you all submit your theories. I choose 5 to go over each week. You all vote for which one you thought was your favorite. And then at the end of the month, you all vote on which one you thought was your favorite of the month. And congrats to last week's winner, theory number 2. YouTube user Mysterio1264 is now entered to be eligible for the monthly prize. And right now, the monthly prize is 2 IMAX tickets so you can go see Spider-Man Far From Home in IMAX or go watch Avengers Endgame in IMAX again. If you're new to Theory Thursdays and you would like to submit your own theory for a chance to end up in an episode, you can find the email to send it to and the instructions in the description down below. Alright, it's time to dive into some theories. Theory number 1 comes from Yes Beardo, and he has a theory about Loki and Mysterio. His theory is that when Loki stole the Tesseract in Avengers Endgame, the branch universe he created is the same universe that Mysterio was from. In this universe, Loki could have ended up ruling over the people of Earth, or simply just some followers on Earth that practice the art of illusion, which is what Loki is known for. Mysterio could be one of these followers and could be using his own illusion techniques combined with his own tech to become the villain that we see in Spider-Man Far From Home. In his universe, perhaps he already has a hatred for Spider-Man which resides there. This is an interesting theory and a good take on what happened to Loki after he got the Tesseract in Avengers Endgame. The directors and the writers already confirmed that Loki did in fact create an alternate timeline, and in this timeline he escaped and he has the Space Stone. Who knows what Loki could do with the power of the Space Stone? And Loki is the master of illusion, and Mysterio is all about illusion as well. And since Spider-Man Far From Home is introducing the multiverse, perhaps there is some sort of a connection between Loki and Mysterio. So that's it for theory number 1. Let's go to theory number 2. Theory number 2 comes from Muhammad Jafar, who has a theory about Red Skull after Avengers Endgame. Muhammad says that Red Skull was cursed to be a guide for people who seek the Soul Stone. But now since Black Widow sacrificed herself and Hawkeye got the Soul Stone is no longer there on Vormir, which means Red Skull is free. And now that Red Skull is free, he could end up being a villain in the Falcon and Winter Soldier series. This theory does have some merit to it because, according to the Russo brothers, Red Skull is actually free. They didn't say this in Avengers Endgame, but after Avengers Infinity War, they did say that Red Skull was free now that Thanos had the Soul Stone. And Red Skull is actually free in the main timeline. Thanos getting the Soul Stone set Red Skull free, so there is a chance that he could end up in the Falcon and Winter Soldier series, especially since they're both directly connected to Captain America. And now Sam technically is Captain America. And of course, Red Skull is a classic Captain America villain. So I wouldn't be surprised if we did run into Red Skull at some point in the Falcon and Winter Soldier series. So that does it for theory number 2, on to theory number 3. Theory number 3 comes from Georgy Bereslavov Marinov, and he has a theory about there being multiple Spider-Man from multiple universes in Spider-Man Far From Home. Georgie states that in the Spider-Man Far From Home trailers and the clips that we've gotten, we've seen Peter Parker wear multiple Spider-Man costumes. His original Spider-Man costume, the Iron Spider costume, the stealth suit, and many more. And we know that Mysterio comes from another universe. And Georgie's theory is that what if we are actually seeing other Spider-Man from other universes? Perhaps Peter isn't doing costume changes, perhaps we're actually seeing other Spider-Man from different universes. If Mysterio is really coming from another universe, this could make sense, especially if this is going to be a big part about Spider-Man Far From Home, introducing the multiverse. We just had Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse come out where they did this exact thing. Could Sony and Marvel be planning to do this in Spider-Man Far From Home? I'm sure fans would love to see multiple different Spider-Man show up in Spider-Man Far From Home. Imagine seeing all of them fighting Mysterio and the Elementals all together. And really, since they're introducing the multiverse in Spider-Man Far From Home, anything is possible. So that's theory number 3, on to theory number 4. Theory number 4 comes from Alfredo Moscoso, and Alfredo's theory states that there won't be a major villain teased in Phase 4 like they did for Thanos, but instead what will be teased is the multiverse on a collision course. The build up to this will introduce the Fantastic Four, X-Men, and maybe characters like Spider-Man 2099, Spider-Gwen, She-Hulk, or any offshoot characters. Once they start getting into the later phases, the true villain could be introduced, which I think would be Dr. Doom, and while the heroes try and stop the multiverse collision, Dr. Doom steals the powers of the Beyonders and creates the Battle World. And the collision of the multiverse happens, and in that movie, everyone really dies except a handful of heroes. Then in Battle World, we will see Thanos again, and maybe even see the Phoenix Force and Wolverine or Cyclops. And then in the last movie, we will see a team up of the superheroes and the supervillains to go against the godlike Doctor Doom with all of the Beyonders' powers. This would certainly be absolutely insane to see happen, but I think everybody would love it, and I think once we heard multiverse, a lot of people started to think Battle World. And if you want an insanely huge event, something that Marvel has to do to outperform Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame, Battle World is definitely something that could do that. And then the heroes and the villains teaming up to go fight Doctor Doom, that's something that people have been waiting for to see on screen for a super long time now. And now that the Disney Fox deal is done and the multiverse has been introduced, hey, we could see it happen one day. So that's it for theory number 4. On to the last and final theory number 5. Theory number 5 comes from Amir Akmal, and he has a theory about the Fantastic Four in the MCU. Amir's theory says that there was a 5-year gap in Avengers Endgame, and the Fantastic Four could already exist in the universe, just not have been mentioned. And since they are scientists, they want to explore what actually happened with the snap. So just like the Avengers do, they track down the energy source on a different planet and they go into space. Now, we know that Thanos reduced the Infinity Stones to atoms in Avengers Endgame. And what if the Fantastic Four on their space mission run into these atoms? This could be the source of their powers and how they get introduced into the MCU. Perhaps they could even get introduced in the post-credit scene for Spider-Man Far From Home because of the Future Foundation. This is certainly an interesting way to bring the Fantastic Four into the MCU. And this actually works really well because it's a way to retcon them into the MCU to make it seem like they were there the whole entire time. However, they didn't get their powers until recently in the MCU. They would have gotten their powers right when the Avengers went and killed Thanos. So it's a good way to say that they've always kind of been there, but they only just recently became the Fantastic Four. And Kevin Feige did say that the Fantastic Four are probably the group that they're going to introduce first from all of the characters that they got from the Disney Fox deal. So we could see them in the MCU very soon, and this would be a great way to do it. So that does it for all of the theories in this week's episode of Theory Thursday. Don't forget to vote on which one was your favorite. Let's do a quick recap. Theory number 1 is that the new timeline that Loki created in Avengers Endgame is actually the same timeline that Mysterio is from, and Loki could have even trained Mysterio in the art of illusion. Theory number 2 is that Red Skull is now free and will end up as a villain in the Falcon and Winter Soldier series. Theory number 3 is that all of the Spider-Man suits that we see in the Spider-Man Far From Home trailers are actually different Spider-Man from different universes. Theory number 4 is that the Battle World will come to the MCU and then the superheroes and villains will all team up against Doctor Doom. And theory number 5 is that the atoms of the Infinity Stones create the Fantastic Four in the MCU. So those are all this week's theories. Be sure to vote on which one you thought was your favorite. And again, if you would like to submit your own theory for a chance to end up in an episode of Theory Thursdays, you can find the email to send it to and the instructions in the description down below. Be sure to subscribe so you can stay up to date on all of the latest episodes of Theory Thursdays and so you can stay up to date on everything relating to Marvel. As always, thank you all so much for watching. Woof woof.